What's it? Whoop. Our apologies. Okay. Head steadily removed from ass. Let's do this. I'm sorry. What? And you didn't wait for me to. You normally wait for me to do the thing.
We were waiting.
And didn't say it. Okay, so I'm a fucking idiot. I'm gonna begin stream by saying right now, I'm a fucking idiot. And with that, greetings, salutations, and welcome back to the Tire Bear Adventure Company. I'm sorry, seeing Maddie just walk off into the middle distance is just
Bye.
perfect. Absolutely perfect. Divine, actually. It's Saturday, and we are back with another episode of The Stolen Cities. As those of you who watched our last episode will know, unfortunately, our wonderful friend Christian, who plays Ralakan, was forced to leave due to scheduling conflicts, and he, as far as we are aware, will not be joining us for the remainder of campaign. You can consider that last 2 minutes in which I was a fucking idiot a moment of silence for our deprived comrade. Of course, the moment I go live, somebody's messaging me asking to do something. I'm going to tell them to fuck off. I am joined, as always, by Venelin, Cross, and the absolute goat, if the goat were a robot, Jason.
Oh.
A Last time on the Stolen Cities, the party had finally procured the necessary items to repair the teleporter Alzin was constructing in the settlement of Montefiore. However, returning to finish the repairs found them face to face with an assault of night creatures, no doubt sent by Sangren to prevent the party's location of his throne world. In addition, the party was also hampered by forces sent by Jason Apollo, who seems to want the power cell for himself for reasons unknown. However, in the midst of this assault on the settlement of Montefiore, the party and the enforcers of Mr. Apollo were able to come to a compromise, agreeing that once they are concluded with what they are using the power cell for, it will be surrendered forthwith to Jason Apollo and or his affiliates. And with that, and Ralakan staying behind to lead the defense of Montefiore against the Night Hordes, the party proceeded through the portal to find themselves beneath a massive circular structure overlooking a river. Something that none of them had seen in a city floating thousands of feet above the ground. The two of you who can see a bridge. Not too far, maybe a couple 100 feet from where you guys left. And across it, this large, almost long castle. The castle is definitely longer than it is tall, with a single clock tower being erected. Pretty much the first thing you see across the bridge, followed by a series of hallways and catacombs making up the rest of the castle proper, proceeding onward from there. There is a small sort of park-like area just outside of there, where you can see trees gathering, some very old even. However, something that you do not see is people. This place seems just utterly bereft of life. Ross, you can feel nothing. You've always known that the vampires being undead never really appear within what you can call sight. However, you've always been able to sense some faint traces of whatever life passes for around here. And aside for the flora and your two compatriots, you sense nothing. Absolutely zero.
This has to be the most barren forest I've ever been in.
It is rather eerily quiet. Is there not even any animal or fauna around?
Nothing.
Jason, you find something else particularly strange, which is that back on New Manhattan, when it was floating, there were certain magics that you could detect that were contributing to keeping it afloat. Just walking through brought a gentle hum beneath your feet as the magics worked themselves to ensure that the castle stayed afloat. You do not feel that here. Or rather, whatever is keeping this place afloat, you're not sure it's magical. You think it might be an actual mechanism.
Very fascinating. From what I can sense, based off of how, well, based off of the tremors off the ground and how I hear quite literally nothing, seems that there is no sort of magical enhancements keeping this island up in the air. It's like this is purely mechanical.
Are we sure that it's in the air?
Hmm.
It is possible that this has already fallen, and what we're here to retrieve is, depowered, or perhaps turned off.
No.
Just because I know that
Hey.
in character, or out of
No,
character, doesn't mean I
not
know.
you. No,
Oh.
that's not me saying that out
Okay.
of character as the DM. A raspy, fatigued voice just behind you sort of stumbles out from from the building where the teleporter was housed. It's floating still. Just not using magic. Um, just in case you forgot, there is a very fatigued, very drained Alzen von Karst accompanying the party.
Oh, I didn't forget.
Yeah.
I know exactly where that man is because my hand is still on his collar.
Oh, good. Wonderful. You're not letting him out of your sight for one goddamn second, huh? Beautiful.
Really fascinating, Halson. Now, do you know if there's some sort of control room, or is this a purely self-sustaining mechanism we have here?
It's not self-sustaining, but given that simply divine smell, I think I can sense what's sustaining it. I would like the two humans, well, the two people with functioning, noses, to roll me a perception check.
That is a 13, but my passive is 17.
Okay. Oof.
That is a whole ass 8.
This is fine. Having had to rely on your other senses for some time, Cross, the moment Alzin mentions it, you start sort of sniffing around a bit, and you can smell something very strange, very alien to the area. And it sort of like leads you in the direction of that flowing water that you can hear. You kind of walk slowly.
It's not on any creatures.
Sorry.
Nope, we're good. Not gonna lie, I almost just brought an NPC out just. But you kind of slowly make your way towards the source of what you can hear as well as what you can smell. And Jason, you kind of accompany him the moment he starts walking, because you can see him walking in the direction of the river. And eventually you find yourself on a bit of a stairway leading downwards. And whatever you can smell, it is in the water. It's an almost
Ooh.
metallic, rust-like smell.
What is that smell?
Venlin, you kind of accompany him the moment, like, you understand that he can sense something. And as you get closer, you, given your experience and skill set, are a bit familiar with smelling blood. It's nighttime, so it's kind of hard to tell right now, but you are relatively confident that that's not water.
I think I can also be relatively confident that it's probably not fresh. Would that be a safe assumption?
Not unsafe.
Yeah. That's not a river of water. Alton,
Oh.
if you drink from that, I can't guarantee that it's going to be any good for you. Despite the fact that I know that you need it and all this, that, and the other nonsense. I don't think it's very fresh. Also, your exhaustion, is this due to not having what you need, or is this another matter altogether?
Partially starvation, partially being beaten half senseless from the two half-wits in that settlement who know how to use weapons correctly.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to feel sympathy for you?
You're supposed to feel short of friends unless I can find something to replenish myself.
Well... Ugh. I have a proposition for you then, Alzen.
And he kind of leans back against the railing.
You may feed periodically from me. In exchange, you are going to help us deal with Sangren. Not take him over, not control him, deal with him, as in kill him. This is non-negotiable. You either help us or you starve. And I can make sure that you starve.
Where is all this blood coming from?
It is a very good question.
If we're up in the air and the river's in the city,
I'm fairly certain that blood is stale. The way that it smells, if there wasn't such a copious amount of it, it would be dry. Matter of fact, it's probably pretty close to a sludge, but I'm not sure that I want to put my hand in it.
Ross and Jason, roll me another perception check. Actually, Cross, I'll stick with your passive.
Okay. That is a 18.
Beautiful. Cross, gently reaching your hand out, not touching the surface, you can feel that the blood is quite warm. There is a warmth emanating off of it. You can also hear that it is very steadily moving. Jason, in the distance, you can hear the faint hum of something very large and very much electronic. And given the steady flow that this blood is moving at, it doesn't take much for you to surmise that this might be using some form of hydroelectric power.
Very fascinating.
Which, if so, would mean that there is a lot of blood. Way more than this. Just I don't think copious begins to accurately describe how much
Excessive.
blood it would take to generate enough hydroelectricity to keep this city floating.
It's an excessive amount of blood.
Honestly, I'm more surprised and impressed with the anticoagulant that's in that blood. to keep it from just thickening and oxidizing once it's exposed to the air. Because, I mean, that's kind of what blood does.
Yeah. Fortunately, Sangren is a bit of a theatric, as you guys have surmised.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he likes the idea of the River Thames flowing with blood.
I mean, I also like the idea because me, as the player, am a dramatic piece of shit, and the River Thames just being a river of blood is pretty fucking dope. But Venelin, as a hunter of the night, not so much.
Disturbed. And with good reason. This is, to use a medical term, fucked.
Cross has a very genuinely disturbed look on his face. Just. And kind of steps back away from the river. I think we should try to find out where he's hiding. I remember in my vision of a big tower with a circle on it.
I'm not even gonna make you guys roll perception checks. That castle is directly across the bridge.
Yeah, because, I mean, Big Ben is a pretty integral landmark in London, so...
It's right there.
Yeah.
And luckily, Cross, it seems like we're already quite close, as that tower with a big circle on the top seems to be approximately straight ahead.
Across the River of Blood?
Yes, across the River of Blood.
Yeah.
Is the bridge made of blood too?
No, the bridge appears to be made of stone.
I can take a closer look to ensure that it is not coagulated blood hardened to stone.
Very well, Jason. Right then. Anyone else slightly put off that there's nobody here?
I mean, if this is a lost city, no, not particularly. I'm actually kind of surprised New Manhattan, well, had anybody. This is what I would expect from a lost city. Nobody there, no sound, no movement, just eerie, horror-like mood.
New Manhattan was an anomaly. Vedran's vision of a world where we could coexist.
Well, it sounds like he had a better vision than the rest of us.
Sangren and I are under no such illusions.
Oh, gods, I am going to enjoy killing you. Shall we?
Yes, let's go then.
The bridge seems to be structured very similarly to New Manhattan's roads. However, something that strikes you is that the signs and use of lights and such seem to be oriented in the opposite fashion to how they would be in New Manhattan. However, there is seemingly a designated walking area, perhaps for pedestrians to be able to walk without the danger of being struck by vehicles, whether they be horses and carriages or the magically propelled cars. No such vehicles adorn the street, however, leaving you free to simply walk across. As you start to reach the apex of the bridge and start walking down, however, the picture of the garden in front of the castle begins to take a clearer shape, as you can see vehicles large and small beginning to adorn the street in a great number. All of them seemingly derelict, dilapidated, very much not taken care of in any way whatsoever. Venelin, your eyes are immediately drawn to one very large vehicle that doesn't seem to have wheels in lieu of two large tread-like attachments propelling it forward, as well as the largest cannon you think you've ever seen in your entire life.
Maddie knows that this is a tank. Venelin just knows that this is a monstrosity.
Jason, several smaller vehicles with similar, though significantly downscaled weaponry seem to line the streets around it as well, to the point that they almost seem to form a cordon along the street surrounding the castle. You could almost assume that this was made defensively. However, given both the dilapidated nature of the vehicles themselves, as well as the fact that most of said weaponry seems to be pointed in the direction of the castle, leads you to believe that this is the detritus of a long-ended conflict. Perhaps a last stand by whoever lived here before to take back the castle from whatever besieged it.
Boy.
Whether or not any of these weapons or vehicles would be of any use to the party is a bit of a crapshoot. Venelin, from your experience delving into the weapons and accoutrement of before, it can be very hit or miss, particularly with those that have been exposed to the elements.
Right.
However, it would not be without any merit to perhaps do some searching around.
Well, we might as well
Cross.
search while we're on our way in.
Cross, the flora here are rather subdued. In the forests that you've been to in the past, particularly those through which you tend to connect to the Feywild, they are these yawning, dancing, beauteous places where your connection to the primal forces is very strong and allows you to connect very easily. However, being here, the magics are still there, however, they are very weak. And given that the chaotic magics of the Feywild are not known for their restraint, you believe that this is in some way intentional. You are confident that you could make a connection to the Feywilds here, but you are not sure what, if anything, would answer back.
Seems like somebody doesn't like guests.
Definitely seems to be. Jason is eyeing that tank. Marvelous piece of technology.
It is very old, and parts of it have definitely been overrun by the surrounding flora. Either that or by light oxidation from exposure to the elements. However, your operating system immediately starts searching for ways in which pieces of this thing could potentially connect to you. As with most technology. Unfortunately, almost every piece of this thing looks to be far too heavy for even your current complete body to be able to accommodate easily. The firing mechanism could be integrated by itself, but the size of the shells needed to do it, the impact would probably rip off whatever arm you attached it to. The treads could probably be attached, but your legs were not made to handle propulsion mechanisms of that size or of that speed.
Understood. Not compatible.
That being said, you could likely use it if it worked. But that is still a question.
Excuse me for one moment. Jason walks up to the tank and observes it and analyzes it, see how one would actually use it. Is it one with the latch on top to
Yep.
hop in?
Yep.
Cool. Eventually, Jason. Oh, sorry.
You kind of hop up upstairs. Just give me a strength check if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Certainly. 21.
Oh, yeah. You kind of reach for the handle, and it kind of doesn't budge. So you just kind of force it open. The thing comes off in your hand. And you kind of descend down the ladder into the thing proper. It was clearly made not for someone to be standing in. There are seats here where you can sit, and you immediately do so at one of the two seats, which seems to be a control panel. The other has what kind of looks like a head-based apparatus, not unlike what you put on your head for the teleporter earlier. And it looks like combined, these are meant for the steering and operation of the tank's vital systems.
See.
You can see several things showing hydraulic pressure, fuel gauges, structural armor integrity, as well as you can see a very large steel crate in the back.
May I perchance take a look and see what might be in this steel crate?
Absolutely. Without without having been exposed to the elements, it opens quite easily. And opening it, you can see several very large shells. Each one is about the size of your forearm.
Oh my.
And they are rather heavy. They're not so heavy that you need both hands to lift them, but they are very clearly heavier than, like, any of your weapons or most artillery you've ever held.
Very interesting.
This would go boom. And
Indeed it would.
judging by the orientation of the shells in the crate, you can surmise that there are just shy of 20 of them in here.
Jason's gonna go back to the control panel, and with his handy-dandy operating glove, his power glove, is going to see if this tank is still somewhat functional. See if he can move it around, or even, well, maybe not use the cannon right now.
Power glove kind of like extends out your fingers a bit, and they all go into different ports and stuff. And several lights start to spring on. The fuel gauge starts up first, which lets you know that this thing has about a third of a tank. You have no idea how far a third of a tank will get this thing.
No clue.
However, several emergency lights, you can see a section labeled specifically for systems that are not working, start to light up. You can see that the targeting system does not seem to be working, which you can attribute to that head apparatus thing. That the treads are also not currently operational, which you could partially attribute to them being a bit lost to the flora. Maybe if you could detangle them, you might be able to get those working. The firing mechanism, while potentially operational, seems to be jammed. You can see a button, you can see a light showing a picture of one of those shells with an X around it. So you think there might be a dud stuck in there.
Gotcha.
And the radio's not working. Are you muted, Maddie? Okay, sorry about that. Because I saw you.
I said something, and it which was the greatest tragedy right there is the fact that the radio doesn't work.
Today's special word is destructive ordnance.
Madeline, there are 2 tanks.
She doesn't need a tank.
Jason kind of just went to the first one to see what he could do.
Yeah. Fenelon doesn't need a tank.
Fair enough.
Okay, we'll get the other tank to cross.
I think Vinland would rather take a tank than let Cross drive one.
I think we should just keep walking forward and use these vehicles as cover, instead of blowing our cover by activating loud machinery in a quiet place.
Do you tell this to Jason?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because otherwise he was going to go through the whole thing
Process of trying to get the tank back up and running. Fair enough.
Understood, Madeline.
I will need a stealth check from each of you as you navigate the field of vehicles as to avoid detection.
Is it dim light?
Yes, it is pretty. It's definitely not nighttime, as it was nighttime on the other side of the world. However, something is keeping it very dark here.
Oh, perfect. Just so you're aware, I get advantage on stealth checks made in dim light.
Absolutely. Roll 2 nat ones.
Well, they weren't nat ones. But, I did roll 2 5s, which is a house crit.
Damn it. You are correct.
It's okay. I got a nat 1.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Yes. That is a 25 total, by the way.
Yeah.
Not
I
that
got a 21.
I'm a big robot. What do you expect?
I know. Believe me, I know.
It's just in character. We understand.
Yup.
Ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk.
Probably
Stealth
could have
mode
stealth
engaged.
easier in the tank.
He might have been quieter in the
I don't think so. Because the tank would then have to roll over all of the cars.
I could just imagine Jason with like a car alarm just walking down the street announcing stealth mode engaged.
Okay. So,
For the record, stealth doesn't always necessarily mean that you're super quiet. Sometimes stealth is moving without being seen. Which is another thing Jason can't do because he's like 7 fucking feet tall.
The flashing lights don't help.
No! Like, sometimes it has nothing to do with the noise. Sometimes it is just because you are too fucking big to hide.
Venlin, you, as Jason starts to exit the tank, and you see him start to examine the flora that have taken over its treads, you kind of don't exactly scold him, but maybe suggest that you guys continue on foot so as to avoid being seen. So he climbs back up, neatly puts the latch back where he found it,
Oh, thank God.
and jumps off, landing on the hood of a car, and just immediately shattering the windshield.
Nice. Does the car alarm still work?
No.
Oh.
However, there is a very loud sound of shattering glass and rending metal as this half-ton behemoth just goong onto the head of a car.
My apologies.
And Venlin,
Okay.
as you and Cross immediately look to hide, all three of you, well, two of you, can make out what look like searchlights
Oh, good.
protruding from the castle. They immediately begin bearing down on the garden proper before slowly moving back towards the street.
Venelin quickly hisses at Jason to go into stealth mode, like the one where he looks like a backpack,
Understood.
and then she just quietly shoves him behind a car before pulling Alzin down next to her and hiding behind said car.
Boom boys. Boombox mode engaged. Cross, you can hear a set of wooden doors opening from somewhere on the castle. From this distance, it's hard to tell exactly where from, as you guys are kind of in the middle now. However, with the coming of that noise, it is not difficult for you to surmise that something has exited, likely to be searching.
Wonderful.
As you are now a backpack Jason, you will not have to roll this next stealth check.
That is a 22 for me.
How about you, Cross?
16?
You know, y'all might wish you fed Alzin earlier,
Motherfucker.
because Alzin rolled a nat 1.
The fuck did this man do? Sneeze?
You remember that scene in The Matrix where, like, they're
Okay,
hiding in the
I'm
walls?
gonna stop you right now. As soon as you said remember that scene in The Matrix, the answer is no.
Oof.
Because I have never watched a single Matrix movie in my life. And before you get started, I have no interest to. Nothing about that series interests me.
Fair
That's
enough.
perfectly acceptable.
That is fine.
I'm gonna get one shot, I can tell. I'm about to get one shot by Alzin because he's hungry and he's fucking right next to me. Shit!
Don't worry, it wasn't a constitution save, it was just a stealth check. However, you guys begin to start traversing the place as quietly as possible. Who's holding Jason?
I don't. Is Cross strong
Who
enough?
can hold me?
Well, you have to lead Alzin, so I'll lead. I'll carry Jason.
Okay.
Okay. So you kind of start rolling Jason in backpack mode. Fortunately, his wheels are very well oiled, and it makes very little noise as you start proceeding across the asphalt.
Thank God.
However, partway through, as you guys are sort of rounding the corner, headed towards what you guys can see maybe the north wing, Alzin lets out a brief cough. Venelin, you whirl your head around to see that he has already covered his mouth, but there is blood coming from his mouth. And you are pretty sure it is his own.
And she just, in a really hushed whisper that she really hopes nobody overhears. Well, what's your answer? Feed and help us, or starve and die? Because you pulled that shit again, and I'm just gonna use you as bait.
You can see him scowling as he is covering his mouth to keep from coughing again. And sort of haggardly, he reaches out his right hand, not covered in blood, for a handshake.
She shakes his hand and then offers the hand that is not in his to him. Like, free, like, the wrist is exposed.
Yeah, no, I get it. Mm.
The deal was for her blood, nobody else's.
Yeah, I feel like you had a way of doing that that was less likely to end with you being turned, possibly. However,
Do I? Do I? Because I don't have any blood on me. All I
you
have
do have
was...
a knife.
We could triple it into a glass.
That is gonna take too much fucking time.
Welp.
Jason has axes.
Just saying. Gonna take
Oh,
too
yeah,
much
just
time.
cut her hand off. Plenty of blood. Oh,
Too much time.
just chop her fucking hand off.
Also, don't we have those vials of blood that we were using for some currency?
You have them.
Oh, yeah.
Not Venelin. And
Would
any that
Venelin
Venelin
remember
would have
this?
had would have been given to Ralakan.
Who is markedly unhere.
Yeah.
For us.
But also, we discussed this at the very beginning of the campaign, Alex.
Yep, I know. I know. This is the risk. Alzin leans in for a moment before his sanity gets the better of him, and he kind of looks up a bit skeptical. As though, even in this dire of a situation, he's still half confident that Venelin's just gonna pull a blade out of her sleeve and cut his throat the minute he goes for it.
She just kind of rolls her eyes, pulls out 4 different blades, gently and quietly lays them on the ground so that they are no longer in range of that particular hand, and just stares at him like, time, motherfucker, we don't have it.
He immediately nods and sinks his teeth into your forearm. It is markedly less unpleasant than you expected it to be. Like, you've been stabbed before. This is nowhere near as bad. And he only holds on for a few seconds, maybe 5 or 6, before pulling backwards. As he does, you can immediately see muscle tone and color returning to his form as he reaches a hand out to touch the forearm where he bit, and the wounds almost immediately begin to close. My apologies.
It's fine.
Let's keep moving.
And then, she just collects her weaponry, resheathes it all, and away we go.
Beautiful. Last stealth check.
17.
I'll probably still be in carrier case mode.
Yep,
So
you're still in carrying case mode. Oh no. Oh no, Tim.
oh no.
I rolled a 2. Got a 10.
Oh, buddy.
We were so close, weren't we?
The hat trick. With the exception of the rogue, everyone rolled bad. And the rogue only didn't roll bad because she rolled a house crit. Oh, buddy. Oh, no. You guys proceed towards the north wing. Being the furthest from the clock tower proper, you would assume it to be the least heavily guarded. And thankfully, you are correct. There are no guards at the north door. They
What
seem to
leaves
be...
at the north door?
The north door seems to be made of two very large wooden doors, fortified with some type of metal. So, definitely large and reinforced, but not guarded. Madeline, the doors just reach sight for you. And you and Alzin just begin to step out from the line of cars to make the run for it. And Cross, your inability to see certain things kind of comes back to bite you here.
Yeah.
And as you attempt to break the line from the line of cars to make the run, you immediately kind of just barely graze yourself over the side of a car. Who, unlike the one that Jason stepped on, this one's alarm does seem to work. And you guys are all assaulted with a very loud car alarm.
Can my power glove? Can I use my power glove to see if I can deactivate that car alarm?
Not without getting to the driver's seat. So, you can either go to the driver's seat and try and interface with this car to deactivate the car alarm, or you can run.
Well, if anyone's gonna take the run option.
Cross will take the run option.
Jason, do you want to pop off of Cross's back to take the interface option, or do you want to run?
Oh, I'm running.
Oh, okay. Cool, great. So you do not move. You allow Cross to run you across. You guys immediately start sprinting across. And as the car alarm starts to go off, you guys can hear several loud guttural howls, which you would almost mistake for wolves if their gait as they trampled through the lot of cars wasn't so distinctly humanoid. You guys have heard four-footed walking patterns before, and this is not that. However, whatever is trampling through, or however many of them there are, they are similarly just stamping through the cars, and you can hear horns and glass breaking and tires popping in their wake as they are making their way from the clock tower area around the bend.
Oh, fuck.
Oh boy.
As you guys reach the door proper, they seem to be about a third of the way across. And any number of you can make me a strength check.
Right.
And by any number, we mean Jason making it an advantage as we all help him with the door.
Sure.
I sure hope so, because that first one was a 7. A little better, 15.
The door seems to budge, but it is very heavy.
Would you like me to try with everyone helping?
You may also give me a check. At advantage.
Anyone?
Ross comes over to help, and together you two manage to just yank the door open just far enough for everybody to get in. You do so. You pull it shut. And as you do, a series of torches begin to light the long hallway behind you. The trampling gates reach the door and immediately start banging rather hard. Jason, you kind of put your hands on the doors.
Mhm.
And you're pretty confident that if all 4 of you were not capable of keeping these doors open / closed, then however many of these guys can probably get it off. However, there is what looks like a locking mechanism. You can see a lever to the right of the door that is connected to 3 very large steel bars that you can surmise, when pulled, will close around the door. Doing so would likely effectively keep keep whatever the hell is behind that door at bay. However, resetting them would need to be done manually.
Okay.
Which, if the steel reinforcing these doors is this heavy, then it is going to be difficult.
Lynn,
Yeah,
while I'm holding these doors, do you think it'd be a good idea to use that lever to activate the locking mechanism?
I think that would be a fantastic idea. Let me get on that.
Might be a little difficult to reset it after it's done, but
That sounds like a
At the
problem
very-
for future us.
absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And Venolin is gonna go hit the lever.
You reach up to pull the lever. It is like just barely out of reach to the point that you have to jump a little bit to get it. But once you do, your weight helps it come down very easily. And the moment it does, these 3 massive steel bars just swing right down into these similarly reinforced metal studs on the opposite end of the door, holding it in place. Jason, you kind of rear your hands back as they swing down, just to keep them from getting chopped.
Yes, I
And
want to
as
keep
you
those.
do, the creatures begin pounding at the door once again. However, they find very little purchase against the steel bars. Eventually, the number of creatures pounding at the door lowers from 6 to 4 to 2, then to 1. Before they let out a series of howls once again and begin slowly stalking away from the door. Ross, given the reinforced nature of the door, you can make me a perception check at disadvantage, please.
Okay. That is a 23.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Cross, of the, you estimate 6 creatures that were outside. You can hear that one of them is staying at the door. You can very barely hear its breathing and the occasional scratching of claws or paws or whatever it is against the dirt just beyond the door. The other 5 seem to be making their way in a sort of slow patrol across the field of vehicles.
Well, it seems like they've gone back to patrolling, but one stayed behind. Hopefully there's another way out of here, right?
Hopefully. I mean, we should be able to lift the lever again if we need to.
It'll take some muscle work, but it could be possible. Plus, a place this big should ideally have multiple exits.
I was here once while I was alive. It's typically much more guarded than this. And you can see that Alzin isn't quite at full strength, but he's definitely a damn sight better than when you brought him through the portal.
Yeah.
Most of his wounds have healed. The sort of like dizzied gait he had that you assumed came from a concussion, gone.
Well, good to see you're doing better. Just remember the deal.
I needn't be reminded. Regardless, coming all this way came at a bit of a cost, as if we're to know our blood deity for his flair for the theatrical, we might have a bit of a ways to go to reach the clock tower.
Well, then I guess we better get started. Cross, Jason. Just in case. Alzin has permission to feed from me and me alone, and he's going to help us.
Understood.
So, Try not to
I
let
think
him
that
get...
is a terrible idea.
Well, it was the best idea we had. He was coughing out on the street. And also, I would rather have another vampire at our back since ours stayed behind. Because we don't have time for him to turn one of us. And by one of us, would more than likely be me, Your Majesty.
I'm not exactly following, Venelin. You kill vampires. Why would you want to become one?
Then she kill all the vampires she wants, because she'll never run out of time to do it.
That is something we don't have time to get into. Let's just say Ralakan may have changed my mind. And that is the simple explanation, and that is the only explanation we are currently going to have because we have a timeline. So.
And I have a plot hole, but that's fine.
I'm not sure what a plot hole is.
Yeah, it was in a book I read once.
Ah. Wait.
Jason, you're pretty sure she's referring to those things in the street due to bad structural planning?
No, those are potholes.
No,
yes.
those
Something you read. Wait.
No, Maddie, those are the people who smoke too much.
No, those are potheads. Anyway, moving on. From this needless back and forth banter.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, if you do ever change your mind, Venelin, I do still have a couple of vials of blood left.
Well, I will consider it. There are other considerations that have affected my judgment. But again, no time. We can talk about this later. We have a blood god to deal with. We shouldn't keep him waiting.
God, just go to a Devil May Cry game already. But like,
are we not in one? Alex?
God,
are we?
There's so much edge talk. I feel like this game has taken itself slightly too seriously for a Devil May Cry game.
But also...
However, now I want to write one. Now I want to write one that's like in universe. But back to this. You guys proceed down this long hallway through the north wing of the castle. There are several rooms lining either side of the hallway. None of the doors are windowed, so you'd have to go inside to check any of them. Do you guys want to do that as you're making your way down, or just head straight down?
Well, I don't think it would be a bad idea to check. Just to kind of be safe and thorough, but like really quick. It's not something that would take a while. It's like quick peek, move on.
A quick scan shouldn't hurt.
Understood. You two can make me an investigation check.
And Cross will keep an eye on Elson.
It's a 23.
That's a 10.
I'm tired of all these freaking 23s.
You
This
love it. You love it.
no, it's my funny meme number. It's the number that always comes up when freaking I'm playing D&D with people. Like everything's a freaking 23. It's ridiculous. In any case, you can see that most of these rooms seem to resemble kind of like courthouse rooms. You can see several long panels of chairs in orbit around a central table, as though these were meeting places for people. Several of the ones going starting out are a lot smaller. They seem to feature just simple tables with the occasional lounge chair in the back. Whereas the ones further down are markedly larger and with more purpose. These look to be the places where people met to discuss quite important topics back in their day. And considering that you're used to dealing with the judicial tribunals of 3 or 4, a lot of times even 1 in the more despotic areas, you're having a hard time wrapping your head around a governmental system that would involve so many people acting in unison.
How did they ever get anything done? Too many decisions, too many voices.
That's the secret, Madeline. They didn't.
Well, then what use were they?
Elzen has this, like... Elzen looks towards the camera. Elzen just straight up goes...
Oh my god.
Oh...
Maybe they were able to power the city by using all that hot air.
Oh man.
That one was good. I gotta give you that one. Cross, take a point of inspiration.
My hands are full of inspiration and I have nowhere to spend it.
Could
Oh,
have spent
believe
it on
me,
that. Could
you
have
will.
spent it on that stealth roll there, Tim.
Yeah, I could have. But that was more fun.
The alternative was having to fight some very strong things.
Well, now you're just threatening me with a good time.
It's not the P word I would use.
Right. Let's keep going.
The north wing ends with 3 doors. One of them, from the structure of the place, you can kind of surmise leads into the central wing of the castle. There is one heading in the opposite direction that seems to resemble... It has a sign on the side that says that it is an armory. However, it is also locked. You can see a place where a key would go. And then there is a door directly in front of you that you're not sure where it goes. There is a bit more building here such that there could be a few rooms beyond it, or it could even like curve around or something like that. However, given that one door clearly goes to the central wing, you're not exactly sure where that door directly in front goes.
Hmm.
And from what we could surmise from what we saw outside, what direction is the tower from here?
The tower, in order to get to it, you would have to take the door on your left.
Okay,
That leads down a sort of like direct kind of right angle curve in the building. Head in that direction.
gotcha.
So door on the left goes to the tower.
That is correct.
Door to the right goes to the armory. Door in front, we don't know where that goes.
That is correct.
Hmm. Continue moving forward in the direction that he expects us to go. Or find out what's behind door number 2.
You are
Given that-
likely. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Given that he has a 10 for the flair of the theatrics, wouldn't you surmise that most likely the most straightforward way there might be riddled with traps, or could in fact be a trap itself?
Does seem the most logical point of action. That would make sense. I do think that door number 2 might be a wise choice, and if not, we could potentially find a key to take us to the armory and maybe get us better prepared.
Hmm. I will check the central door. Is it locked?
The central door is not locked. You twist it, the knob goes, and you can pull it open.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I look inside the room.
It is a rather small room, containing a stairwell heading up and a dumbwaiter going down.
Do you think empty PNG background of Venelin? See.
This empty PNG background of Venlin is sponsored by AK Racing Gaming Kit.
Stop that.
Use code SLIME for
I miss him. You promised me we were going to get a bird. Where's the bird? Okay. Silly idea, Jason.
There are no silly ideas. Let's hear it.
That dumbwaiter device. There might be something on the floor below us.
Potentially. Is this dumbwaiter large enough to fit a big old bot and his little buddy?
The issue is less the size than the weight. The dumbwaiter system does look rather old. Old enough that, while size-wise, you could definitely go backpack mode and fit just fine. The weight would likely be a bit over capacity.
Don't believe I would be able to. You would be able to handle my weight. However, I could always oversee up here, and perhaps you can take a look down there, if you find it safe enough, of course.
Anything's worth a try in my book. After all, no stone unturned. Who knows, he might be trying to hide something down there.
Absolutely. Well, I will wait up here, and if you do have anything, if you require any help, please just yell and I will figure out my way down there.
Sure thing. Gross will gently test the dumbwaiter with his weight.
You kind of put a foot down, and it seems rather stable. You put an arm down, it feels pretty stable. You sit on it, and it kind of like moves slightly, like it moves backwards against the back wall of the dumbwaiter system. But the moment you settle on it, it settles just fine.
Okay. He'll just kind of crisscross applesauce and give Jason a thumbs up.
Jason will reciprocate with his gloved hand.
Alright. Going down, I guess.
He leaves for a couple minutes. Party immediately splits.
You have Jason kind of like operate the bit of a rope pulley system. Like, he uses the lever to lower you down slowly.
Yeah.
And you reach the bottom and exit. And it suddenly occurs to you that you're fucking blind.
Yes! Yes, it does.
Why did you do this?
Because I hate you, Trebek.
Your perception check, you son of a bitch.
Listen, I have to have some sort of fun. We're playing a game, aren't we?
Yes, we are playing a game. Roll perception.
Well, good for you. Good news. I got a 24.
Oh my
It's
god,
not
it's
a
not a
23.
23. It's not a 23, I'm okay. It's not a 23, I'm okay. We're good. We're good. You listen very carefully. And you can hear something breathing. Whatever it is very much not human. It is way too big to be. You could almost mistake it for a sort of like canine breathing if it wasn't so large. You can't even say loud because the sound isn't particularly grating or anything. It's just very clearly the sound of a very large creature that you're pretty sure is sleeping.
I'm in danger. Okay. Well, Cross will try to sort of focus in on where the breathing is coming from,
Hmm.
and will do his best to not try to wake it up. Kind of just feeling for the wall and just mentally counting the steps he is going away from the dumbwaiter. Trying to.
As you step forward, you start to get a faint outline of this creature in your sort of life sight. It is alive, and it is very big. In terms of D&D sizing, I would say it is huge. It takes up the majority of this room. You kind of reach what feels like a paw, and you start to reach your hand backwards, only for it to graze across a bit of metal. You reach back for the metal, and it becomes aware to you that this creature is chained to the floor. You're not sure if it's chained by all four limbs, but it is definitely restrained.
That's, okay. Does it react to me accidentally touching its paw?
Thankfully, no. The paw kind of like quivers for a moment, like a single claw twitches. But the dog does not seem disturbed by you touching it.
Okay. He will quietly try to make his way around the dog. Would you like me to make a stealth check?
Please and thank you.
$17. Please be a heavy sleeper, please be a heavy sleeper, please be a heavy sleeper, please be a heavy sleeper.
You sort of circle around the dog for a bit until at the very back of the room you find another door. However, it is another one of those reinforced doors, kind of similar to the one that you saw that was keeping the castle closed, though slightly smaller. You're sure you could open it with enough effort, but whether or not the sound of doing so would wake our friend here remains to be seen.
He'll take a moment to not fully, try to move it, but just test to see its strength. Just enough to see if it's locked.
Mm-hmm. You push for a moment, but your hand quickly finds a kind of pull handle. So you pull with one hand, and it budges. So you know that it is not locked in the traditional sense. However, it is definitely heavy enough that you want to be using both hands to try and open this thing.
Right. He'll listen again to make sure that the dog is still breathing in its same pattern. Still asleep?
It is still very much asleep, though you do hear it kind of whimper lightly. You kind of look back towards it, and you can see that its tail isn't exactly wagging, but it is kind of shivering a bit as it tucks in towards its body. You're pretty sure the dog is cold.
Where's the 9? Why do I have to have a conscience? I'm a sucker for dogs. Even big-ass Cerberus ones. Or at least Cerberus-sized ones.
I will tell you right now, there is only one head.
Given how you run games, that does not fill me with any sort of pleasure.
You know what? I made Patricia a character. I can't even say anything.
Yeah, the game you gave us a Cerberus with 2 heads. You monster. But, he'll take a moment to go into his pack and get a blanket.
You've got a couple of blankets. You're not sure. You're pretty sure they would not fit on a dog this size, as they were made for humans.
Right.
He'd probably cover his tail.
Jason's a portable furnace. You can bring him down here.
He'll question, do my astral arms exude heat?
I don't believe they do. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Yours are radiant, right?
Yes.
Then I will say that they give off a faint warmth. Kind of like sunlight on skin.
He'll use his astral arms to gently pet the dog. This is a bad idea, this is a bad idea, this is a bad idea, this is a bad idea. Why am I doing
Make
this? I do not.
me an animal handling check.
I'm going to use my inspiration, Alex.
Okay, first off, did you already roll?
No.
Okay, cool. Let me catch up Maddie. Hi, Maddie. So, the end of the north wing has 3 doors. The door on the left proceeds further into the castle. The door in the middle, Jason and Cross just went through. They weren't sure what's in it. I'm explaining it now. The door on the right goes to an armory, but it is locked.
Yes, I was here for the armory, and I had to run to the bathroom and then inform other roommates about moving.
So, the door in the middle has a dumbwaiter going down and a stairwell going up. Cross took the dumbwaiter down, where he found an extremely large dog, as well as another doorway leading somewhere. But he's not sure where it is, and he's unsure if he can open the door without waking the dog. However, the dog is also cold. And Cross is going to use his astral arms, which are radiant, so they have a little bit of heat to them, to pet the dog. So, you may roll first.
Okay.
Let's see the roll.
That's that was a 1. I'm happy I'm using my inspiration.
Are you sure you don't want to use a point of luck? Because I know you have at least one of
Oh,
those.
yeah, I'll use one of my points of luck. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Let's try that again.
Yeah, do that, please.
Yeah, I think I got quite a lot of points of luck. Hang on here.
Pretty sure between the party you guys have at least 3.
Yeah.
I think Cross has 2, and if I remember correctly, Venlin has 1.
I'll
It
give
might be
one.
Ralakan, and I fucked up.
It was definitely Ralakan because I have not received inspiration nor luck in a really long time.
Fair enough.
$22.
Oh! You haven't really used your astral arms for delicate things before. So you reach out very gently and sort of slowly begin ruffling your astral hand through the dog's fur. At first, it kind of like shrinks away, but as the warmth begins to seep into it, it kind of allows itself to feel it and eventually kind of moves in towards you. Cross has pet the dog.
What have I done? You know what? No, I'm good. So long as I don't go to the dog park, everything is fine.
You start to get like a small smile on your face as the dog is kind of now leaning into your touch a bit. And suddenly the cadence of breath kind of hitches for a brief moment as you hear it lick its lips and kind of take in a sharp intake of breath. You kind of lean your head around, and you can see that its head has turned towards you. However, it does not do anything. It kind of just looks at you with this almost dejected expression, but nonetheless kind of sets its head down on the ground, very happy to receive some warmth. Judging by its size and its musculature, you can tell that it is well fed, though you are not sure how long it has been since this dog has been in the sunlight.
Hey there. Hmm. While his astral arms are petting, he'll cautiously make his way toward the dog's face and just kind of reach out his own hand to it to show that he doesn't mean it any harm.
As you reach toward his face, again, it shrinks away, and you can see its lips kind of part a bit in preparation to bear fangs. However, feeling the warmth emanating from your astral arms, it once again slowly shrinks forward and allows you to pet it.
I will give it one of my rations.
It kind of looks at the thing and sniffs it briefly before sticking out its tongue and just lapping the entire thing up in one sitting. It is very small for a dog of this size, but it takes it and it kind of like nuzzles its nose against you lightly, which even lightly kind of pushes you a few steps back.
I'll try to see where it's secured and maybe try to see if I can free it.
Your first instinct leads you to the paw that you first noticed, which is right by its head. And going to look at it, the chains keeping this thing down are very large and very heavy. They are not something you believe you could do on your own.
Hmm.
Even with Jason's help, you feel like it could be pretty difficult. Even with Alzin's, considering strength-wise, they're somewhat similar. However, they do have what appear to be locks on them. Though the locks appear to be magical rather than done with a key. So you can surmise that there is some kind of spell or interface somewhere in the castle that would release the dog. But it is not here as you have been able to find.
Hmm.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
Cross will slowly make his way over to the dumbwaiter. Jason?
Jason has not moved from his position and is standing perfectly still in front of the dumbwaiter.
Are you still there, Jason?
Yes, Cross. Would you like to come up?
In a moment. I found something. Something big.
Wonderful. Do you think it can fit in the dumbwaiter?
No.
Understood.
But there's another door down here. I think there might be another way down here somewhere in the castle.
Understood. Would you like me to bring you up and then we search for this door?
I'll be ready in just a second. I just gotta say... Well, let my new friend know that we'll be back for it.
Oh, wonderful. A new friend. Sounds good.
Back a couple of episodes when Cross asked if he could have a dog.
Cross, the dog, as you turn back to it, kind of like leans forward with the base of its head, kind of like its forehead towards you.
I'll go over and give it another pet.
As you pet it, it gives a low noise that almost sounds like a growl, but you're pretty sure is just a gentle hum made slightly more unnerving by its sheer size. However, at the same time, you can hear something almost resembling a voice that speaks to you in Sylvan. You not food. Where come?
I actually come from the Feywilds.
Hmm. Fields. Called Fields home once. Before Master.
Hmm. The master of this castle is the target of my party's ire.
You attack, Master.
He wants you to defend him.
If Master ask, I do. Or I am punished.
I can promise you freedom. A return to the fields.
No. Friend. Basque. Trapped as well. Her instead.
What if I freed you both?
Grateful.
Where's your friend being kept?
Our. Under. Guarded.
Hmm. Well... All right. My friends are waiting for me.
The dog simply nods and gives you another gentle nudge with its nose.
He'll gently pat it. And he will climb into the dumbwaiter.
Jason, the moment you feel Cross's weight enter the dumbwaiter, you push the lever back up, and the dumbwaiter immediately begins propelling Cross back upwards. In the meantime, Venelin, you kind of see into this small room. Do you want to check that upstairs stairwell while this is happening?
Sure. Sounds like a
Cool.
good idea.
You head upstairs, and there is a similarly constructed hallway. However, without the door to center room that you guys were just in. It simply curls around towards the central wing. However, it is significantly exposed. The second floor has several large windows exposing it on either side to the outside world. And you kind of looking out briefly, you kind of peek your head out a little bit. You can see some of the creatures stalking outside when the searchlights pass over them. They definitely look like vampires, but they look quite large and somewhat grotesque. If a vampire could take steroids and was just very muscular, you could see these things just stalking around. They leave holes in the dirt where they go. If any of them travels over a car, that car is getting trampled. These things are about as tall as Jason, give or take. And just as muscular, although this is flesh muscle. And you do indeed count 6 of them.
Yikes. I am just gonna very quietly go back to the party and inform them of these tall flesh creatures.
They're juiced. They're just fucking juiced.
We've got cyborg vampires, we've got swole vampires.
We got fish vampires.
Who knows? That dog down there might be a dog vampire.
Well,
Alternatively, could just be a werewolf.
Maybe.
Which we really haven't interacted with a whole lot of werewolves. It's been a lot of vampires and not a whole lot of werewolves. And I'm feeling like it would be very appropriate for it to be werewolves because, you know, werewolves of London.
Ah, yes.
So, down below there's a really, really big wolf. I was able to befriend it, and it speaks Sylvan. It told me to, if we could, save its friend that's being held at the bottom of the tower. That is right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wasn't sure if I misheard you. I'd like to see if we can save both of them.
Well, we can
It's
certainly try.
currently restrained by some sort of magical locking mechanism. If we could find maybe the source of that, it definitely might save some headaches down the line. And given our current situation, I guess it wouldn't hurt to have a few extra friends around, right?
This definitely seems like a plausible and ideal situation. Should we gain their trust and gain their partnership?
I've already gained the trust of this one. There's also a second door down there. Though I didn't go beyond it, so I don't really know what's on the other side, but there might be another way down somewhere here. Or at least at another part of the castle.
Understood. Well, if the upstairs just leads to grotesque, fleshy, monstrous vampires, and the other door leads to an armory, I guess all that leaves us with is the door on the left.
Guess door on the left it is then.
Wait, isn't the door on the left the one with the fleshy vampires?
No, that was the stairwell upstairs. On the first floor, that's just going towards the central wing.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry.
The flesh vampires are outside, Penny.
Ah, sorry. Okay, I'm good.
Like, you could see them outside through the windows, and the reason that you were scared was because, like, you're not sure if you could cross through there without them seeing you. Because the hallway is, like, almost all window.
Alright then. Right. Uh... Unless you want to try your hand at trying to pick the lock of the armory, I think we should continue on. Unless
I
there's
could
a
certainly
chance.
try.
Let's give that a go then.
Alrighty then. Alex, would that be a sleight of hand check?
Sure.
Alright, so I'm gonna throw this out there that this is a nat 1 plus 13 for 14 total.
And for that reason, your lockpicking tools do not break.
Thank fucking God. You have betrayed me for the last time.
You're unable to pick the lock. However, as something kind of catches and you try and do it, you do it a little bit too much, and it kind of like forces your hand back. You can hear the sound of a bell. Like a faint chime in your ear as your tools retract.
Mm-mm.
All three of you can hear it.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No, that's
Um,
bad. And
Mhm.
what's your passive insight?
11. She's
You're not
the
an
one
idiot.
with
You're
11
good at
across
these.
the board. Like,
Okay, well, Venlin's not stupid. She's picked locks before. And so she knows what one that's been alarmed sounds like.
Oh no.
okay, well, we can head up the stairs. Now, we gotta go. Right now.
What about the door on the left?
Well, you said that thing was being held in the tower, right? If you're being held in a tower, it is easily surmised that you're probably going to be held near the top, so that if you decide to jump out a window, you're probably going to kill yourself.
The door on the left leads to the tower.
Then I guess we should go.
Understood.
And she just quickly stashes her thieves' tools back in her pack. And we're going!
Nope. Just noping away. Nope, 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 nope.
Just gonna nope
We're
the fuck
gonna
out
lo-
of this.
Dude, there have been a lot of nat ones today.
I blame the absence of Relican.
You
He
might
was
be
our luck
right.
sink. He was the luck
You
sink.
might be right. He was the heart and soul of the party. He was the teddy bear. Except a very slimy teddy bear. Oh, Lord. In any case, you guys open the door on the left. It is not locked. And you start making your way through the central wing. It is much wider than the north wing. You can see several arches leading outwards towards the garden. However, you are obscured enough by trees that the field of vehicles and the monsters that are out there can't really see you from here. However, as you get about halfway through, Cross, you hear at first a brief commotion coming from a door on the far end of the hall. There are 3 doors to your immediate right, and there is an archway leading outside into the garden. Cross and Jason, you may roll me perception checks.
Okay. Nat 20. For almost a funny number, but it's a 24.
I also got an almost funny number. I got a 22.
Okay. Both of you, from the vibrations and the gates that you can hear, can sense that there are 4 entities heading towards that door.
Good.
So they're coming from straight ahead of us,
Yep.
3 doors on the right, and a doorway out to the garden. Archway.
Yes.
Alright, time to choose. Fight or hide?
I think try and hide. For now.
Okay,
Until we know what we're facing.
Right, guess everyone pick a door?
Understood.
Want us to split up?
No, you're coming with me. And then she's just gonna like open a door and haul him into the room with her.
Okay,
Jason,
each of you pick a door.
Jason,
Left, middle, right.
Middle is the one Venelin is going in, hauling Alzin behind her.
Jason will be going into the right.
I guess I'll take the left.
Time for the magical D6 of I definitely picked options but didn't assign those options to doors yet. Okay.
Good.
They're all a broom closet.
They are not all broom closets. Each of you roll me a d20. I want to see who goes first here.
J- That's a 3.
I do want to say that I misspoke when I said everybody pick a door, but this is a lot more funnier.
Yes. 6 for me.
Cool.
4.
You know what's real fucking funny? I rolled this d6. Maddie's result was definitely a 6. And Tim's result was definitely a 4.
Which of these things is not like the other?
Don't worry about it. Venelin. The moment you close this door, it. Oh my lord. No. One moment.
I think it'll be fine. Don't worry.
And then probably something other than Alzin will attack you. Fair enough.
One for 1 second.
I don't know what it is with me today, but I've had bad ideas galore.
Love it. We love your bad ideas. We now have potential dog friends.
Where's the adventure if you don't get a little reckless? Oh look, Vetelin's AFK. Quick, let's split up, gang. Oh look, the bad guys are coming. Quick, let's split up, gang.
See, we got 30 minutes left of session. Let's see how many more times we can split the party.
I will be significantly disappointed if this does not turn into one of those Scooby-Doo-esque hallway chases.
I have to agree. I would also be disappointed if that is not how it turns out with the oh my god, I'm trying to the fucking Benny Hill music
Oh, yeah.
playing in the background.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to hum that in case we get copyright claimed.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want that. I'm already having enough problems trying to find non-copyrighted music. This one keeps getting dinged for copyrighted music despite the fact that I am using non-copyrighted music. What?
Here's the trick: you gotta play it in 1.5 second bursts. Every so often, just throw it in there.
Right? But whenever you're like trying to do it in like preload, right? Like before the stream starts and you're trying to have something playing. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna default to the stuff that we actually had music for Dire Bear made. Oh god, Lucas, you are so washed out in the lighting.
It is. Oh god, it's following me. There we go.
Oh, well.
I want to say what could possibly go wrong, but also, I mean, this place is.
There's a lot.
Oh yeah.
I feel like enough has gone wrong tonight, thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly.
On the bright side, we at least seem to be failing upwards.
Mike would be proud of us.
It truly is the best direction to fail.
It truly is. If you're gonna fail, you might as well fail in an upward direction.
So what do you think the big plan was? Just turn the whole world into vampires and then run out of food?
Well, maybe, but you could technically feast off of animals, so as long as you don't overhunt the animals, it's not a problem. Or you just start keeping humans in feedlots, and that sounds terrible, but I mean, like, what
They are
else are you gonna
vampires.
do?
True.
And I don't know, maybe the plan was that once all the everybody's turned to vampires and then everybody fucking just starves to death, the world just sort of resets without any sort of humanoid influence. I mean, I don't know, man. This is feeling real Dracula Tepish with no real fucking plan, just a lot of revenge.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes you don't need a plan. Sometimes you just need to fuck shit up.
Okay, there's fucking shit up, and then there's just we're going to turn everybody into vampires with no plans for a food source afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
So then everybody's gonna starve.
I think he fails to see the part where that's his problem. He got what he wanted.
You've learned to rewrite the genetic code. With this technology, you could cure cancer. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn everyone into vampires.
I love Dr. Animo so much.
Oh, I was about to say, okay, Dr. Connors.
That's Dr. Animo, that's Dr. Connors, that's a lot of cartoon scientists.
Not even cartoon
That all
scientists.
happen to be Spider-Man villains.
Let's also not forget John Hammond, who could have used that technology to cure cancer and instead brought dinosaurs back to life.
In any case. Madeline,
Yo,
the moment you close that door, a set of torches lights the way to the end of the room, where you can see several very large canisters of blood. The other side of this room looks like a cold storage unit.
uh-huh. A cold storage unit
Mm-hmm.
that contains what exactly?
It looks like several containers of blood.
Just blood.
Looks like it. No organs to speak of, no bones, no bodies. Just blood.
Yikes.
Yike indeed.
Venolin is just gonna glance over at Alzin. Well, now this just seems like Providence. Are you still hungry?
He just rolled a nat 1 on his constitution save.
Oh, fuck.
Ah! He's very hungry. And he's going to run to the other side of the room.
She's not gonna stop him.
Wonderful.
This is probably a bad idea, but she's not gonna stop him.
That's great.
So long as he only goes for the purple stuff and not the Sunny D, he should be fine.
Venolin. The moment he crosses the threshold into the area of the room with the blood, you hear a faint shunk as a large metal bar swoops down over the door you just came in through.
Uh-oh.
Shit.
Elson walks face first into a wall. There's no blood there. Ross, what's up?
Was it a Wile E. Coyote wall painting of a room?
No, it was an illusion that the moment he tried to step into faded.
Oh, okay.
That would have been very funny, but no. Cross. You walk in, and strangely enough, you can feel dirt under your feet. It's very warm in here. Such that, were it not for the fact that you knew for a fact you were in a room, you could almost mistake this place for a garden. You remember Vedran briefly mentioning that plants are grown using sort of like simulated sunlight by vampires in these places called greenhouses. And a part of you assumes that this is what you are in right now. And it occurs to you that you don't remember how long it's been since you've had a fresh fruit. And you can smell them everywhere. You can smell apple trees and freshly picked strawberries and grapes. And that sense of smell leads you treading through the very light coating of dirt under your feet until you find a table filled with several sort of trays. Each one is filled with dirt, and you can sort of smell different things coming from each one.
Hmm.
Would you like an apple, a strawberry, or a grape?
We'll go with an apple.
You reach out for the apple. And as you pluck it, you hear a metallic chink as a hinge just to your right begins to close. It will allow you to make me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, bother. 13.
Only as the wide metal frame begins to sweep past where you smell the apple, do you realize what it is that is sweeping over you? And you turn to jump out of the way when it slams shut in front of you. And it does not take much more than a half step forward for your knee to feel something jagged kind of prod against it. Not enough to pierce or cause bleeding, but enough to be painful. And
Oh.
backing up causes a similar sensation across your back. Tim, well, Cross, you are almost positive that you are inside of an Iron Maiden.
No.
How the hell did this happen? I'm smarter than this.
I will be right back once again because I forgot something stupid. But Jason will get to you.
Oh, good.
Well, not gonna say that this was a bad idea. But splitting the party may have been a very bad idea.
I think it's great.
What I miss?
To be fair, we all could have gone into the Iron Maiden.
We are all lamenting our choices.
I don't know. I think
Uh-huh.
Yep, this was the plan. Everything is going according to plan.
Well, as long as everything's going according to plan, then.
Because the plan was to anticipate everything going wrong.
Well, it's doing exactly that.
Here's the problem. This is the part where you throw away the plan, and the plan is kind of hard to throw away. It's hard to throw away the plan when the plan is
Well, no, see, the plan is still executing itself. It hasn't gone off the rails. When it goes off the rails, then you throw it away. But if the plan was expecting things to go wrong, things kind of have to stop going wrong for it to be considered going off the rails.
This is true. Not disagreeing with you.
What's in Jason's room?
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
you open that door to find that it is sweltering hot in here.
Now, I literally cook things. Is it too hot for me?
It is very similar in heat. And a pulsing orange light near the end of the room that is very familiar to you leads you to believe that you might be in a forge chamber. As you walk through, you can see various weapons lining the walls, axes and daggers and hammers and swords. Some of them regular, some of them silvered. You can even see a set of armor that you believe to be made of mithril. However, at the end, just in front of the forge, is an anvil on which stands what looks less like a helmet and more like a head. Somewhat similar to yours, but sporting two eyes instead of the singular one from your completed head. It seems to look more humanoid-like, with like a proper mouth and ears and things like that.
Now, what would this be doing here? Does Sangren have any, well, do we know if Sangren has any history with automatons?
You do not. However, given Vedran's connection to him, you do know that Veltrin, your creator, is very well knowledged in Sangren's lore and things like that. How he would come across that knowledge, uh, um, is yet to be seen. Remains to be seen, is what I meant to say.
Jason's going to... Now, it doesn't look like it's attached to anything, it's just laying on an anvil, right?
Yep.
Cool. And Jason's going to do a quick analysis of it, make sure it's not online or bugged or spying on me. And if it all looks safe, he's going to pick it up and give it a look over. Take a look on the inside, see how that's all set up. Might want to save this for later.
You perform an analysis of it. Roll me an investigation check.
See.
Yeah, let the plot happen.
16.
Ah, the dice didn't let the plot happen. You reach out to grab this thing, but before you can, your analysis comes back very quickly, and you can tell that this thing is pretty much inert. You can't sense any cabling running through it, any electricity, any channels even for magic to course through. It more resembles a paperweight
I see.
than an actual working head that you could attach to your body. Furthermore,
Unfortunately.
while you can see heat, like where you can see orange coming from the furnace, you can't see fire. And the heat doesn't feel like it is coming from there. It just feels like heat.
Like
In normal heat of this kind, you would be able to discern a source for it, and it doesn't feel that way. It just feels consistent throughout the room.
Jason, rather dejectedly looking at this head. Non-compatible. Now, this forge here does seem rather interesting. The fact that it is not radiating heat coming from itself is a little odd. Like it just feels like there is no source of the heat. It's just the whole room is hot. Feels hot. Gotcha. Jason's going to take a closer look at this, the glowing orange that is supposedly the forge. Does it seem like any type of fire, or is it just...
Nope, it just looks orange.
Very bizarre. Well, I probably shouldn't be playing around with anything. Especially when there are people alert out there. Jason does not trust this room. And he is not going to touch anything else. He's going to stand still until things quiet outside.
Beautiful. Outside, 4 figures exit the room at the end of the hall. One of them seems to be dressed in more of a general's garb, while the other 2 more resemble aristocrats, and the one behind them definitely something larger. The general looks at the 3 doors and kind of smirks as 2 of them have what looks to be a lever protruding out from outside. The 2 aristocrats each pull one lever, one from the left door and one from the middle door. And as they do so, Venelin and Cross, you can hear the locks on the doors begin to retract. Cross, you can hear that there is somebody just beyond the door now. However, Venelin, if you want to know if you can hear that, you can make me a perception check. Cross's passive is pretty good.
Sure. 18.
Oh yeah, you can definitely hear that there are multiple figures behind that door. Venelin, your door opens first, and you can see these 4 entities. One of them is one of those significantly larger and more muscular vampires. 2 of them are these 2 vampires in what kind of look like just suits. They look very formal. While the last one seems to resemble some sort of general. And the general steps forward and goes, "If you'd like your deaths to be quick, then by all means continue to resist. Otherwise, I'll escort you to the headmaster. He's waiting." Yes, he hasn't fed in some time, and I'm sure you and your friends would serve as quite the meal.
Mm, really? I'm sorry. You think I'm gonna make this easy for you?
Madeline,
Uh-huh.
make me a charisma saving throw.
Oh no.
Is this a
Oh
charm?
no.
Is
Yes.
this a charm? Good. I have advantage because I'm an elf.
Elven superiority.
That's an 18. And I'm really hoping it's enough, because if it's not, I'm gonna be real fucking sad.
Venelin, as you're about to fire off another quip, you see the general's eyes glow yellow. And that yellowish hue begins to beat against the back of your mind and sort of try and wash over you from behind your eyes. And you just barely manage to shake it off. Vampires have tried to compel you in the past, and while unsuccessful, none have been so efficient at doing it thus far. The general cocks an eyebrow. How wonderful.
I realize that you may not know who I am, but I deal with your kind on a regular basis. You're not going to sway me that easily.
How wonderful. The food has a mouth.
This man is steps away from calling her a fucking blood bag, and she is about to lose her goddamn shit.
You two retrieve that. And he kind of points in the direction of Alzin. And we are going to start next week's session with a fight.
Good.
We love starting sessions with combat.
We do love starting sessions with combat. Oh, lordy, lordy, lord. As always, I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us tonight. Oh, man. And first, I'm going to have to thank our sponsor. And it's D&D Beyond. The letter N, D, Beyond.com. A sprawling repository for all things 5th edition, as well as a homebrew compendium to draw from or add to for a small subscription fee. Tomorrow. What's tomorrow?
Saturday. No,
Excuse you?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Today is Saturday.
We're live! Oh, buddy. Sunday's Varenheim? Yeah, Varenheim. Yeah, Varenheim. Yeah, that's great. Is Heath's thing back on for Mondays?
Yeah, they're back in March, so yes.
Beautiful. This is a March?
Yes, it's now March. But I believe that this is their final season.
Ooh.
And now, I'm not 100% sure. Let me double check. Hold, please. It looks like the application for the new, the Wild Beyond the Witch Life adventure is still up. For anybody who would like to submit their application, the applications close on the 31st of March. Heath is an amazing DM if you guys want a chance to be on screen with Direbear. Which is not to say Alex is not an amazing DM, because he is absolutely 100% fucking phenomenal. And now he's gonna hide because I gave him love, affection, and appreciation.
The validation station waits for no DM.
This is true.
Tuesdays, False Column Nights? Or is that Wednesdays?
Tuesdays is the Remnant Shadow, which is our Star Wars campaign.
That's
Wednesday
right.
is False Column Nights.
False Column Nights. Yes. Cool, great. Thursday, Maddie is running a Knight's Ransom.
Yep, that's me.
Yee. Friday. Do we have anything on Fridays yet?
I think they just finished up the, horror campaign, but there may be another episode. Keep an eye out on the Town Crier channel, where we post up on Fridays. They're over on Precarious' channel.
And next Saturday, I promise, barring nothing, we will be here for another episode of The Stolen Cities as we find out how the fuck these three are going to make it out of this one. As always, I thank every single one of you for coming and sitting down with us tonight. And remember, wear a mask, get vaccinated, be kind to one another, and roar for initiative.